What's up, everybody? So I'm going to try something a little different because since I was unable to make a weekly update last week, like I said 2 weeks ago, I was going to be in Virginia and probably wouldn't be able to make one. I'm going to do the news portion as one separate video today, and then tomorrow have the normal weekly update because there's a lot to talk about in the weekly update and there's a lot to talk about in the news. So it would be a super long video, so I decided to split it up into two. And I know some people in the past have talked about the idea of, splitting up the videos and just doing the news as one video and the weekly update as another. So let me know how you feel about this format after watching today's video and tomorrow's. But anyway, like I said, lots of news, so we'll get right to it. The first thing is an interesting follow-up about the whole Jeremy Clarkson Top Gear story. And that is, there's a report this week that Jeremy Clarkson is coming back to the BBC, but he's not doing Top Gear. So he's coming back on April 24th for a show called Have I Got News For You? And it's a UK show where I guess there's a guest panel that commentates on different pop culture things and news stories and things like that. And anyway, he's been on the show a few times before, and he's going to be coming back on the 24th. Which some people have reasoned as, he was under contract to do this, and they were counting on him, and he can't pull out at the last minute. But at the same time, I think he was at least under contract to finish the last episodes of Top Gear for this year, and that's not happening either. So something fishy's going on here, I think. I don't know what's up, but if the BBC hates Jeremy Clarkson's guts, or if their hands are tied and they have to fire him because of what he did, then he shouldn't be on this show either. And so, I don't know, some people have even suggested this whole thing is a publicity stunt, which it seems a little extreme, but I'm like left wondering, if he's going to be on this show, why can't he be on Top Gear? If the BBC is going to hate Jeremy Clarkson, that's fine, but be consistent and hate him everywhere. And I mean, you can't say, oh, well, you're not allowed to do Top Gear, but we'll let you do this other show. So, I don't know what's going on here. Hopefully maybe, I don't know. I honestly don't know what to make of this story, except that it's extremely bizarre of the BBC, and we will see what happens. But yeah, so apparently if you want to see Jeremy Clarkson on the BBC one last time, April 24th is when you can. For some other dumb stuff, Aston Martin sued Fisker this past 2 weeks here, and they sued them because Fisker produced the beautiful Thunderbolt concept, which is very Aston Martin looking, but it doesn't directly rip off any other Aston Martins. So Aston Martin was saying they're going to sue Fisker for this, and Fisker sadly just said, fine, okay, I'm not going to fight you, Aston Martin, I won't make it. So he's not building the Thunderbolt, which is kind of a shame. I wish maybe they could work together and make a one-off special Aston Martin that, put an Aston Martin badge on here if it makes them feel any better. But apparently Aston Martin did not like that take, and so that car will not be produced, sadly. In other Aston Martin news, the new DB9 successor was spied running around, and there's further reports here that it'll be called the DB11, no one knows yet. But it looks good. Obviously there's all these body creases and lines and things that are just because it's camouflaged, so that's not how it actually looks. But it does give us a good hint of what we may see here in the final production version, and looks good so far from the shape and everything. Excited to see the full production version. In some crazy news, and this is from a tuner, so not an actual car company, but Hennessy has just unveiled the 2016 Hennessy CTSV. So if you thought 640 horsepower in the regular brand new Cadillac CTSV wasn't mind-blowing enough, you can have 1,000 horsepower with the Hennessy version here. And looks cool, obviously. Got some wider fenders on that, and I'm sure it's going to be one wild ride. But then again, I didn't think the standard CTSV was going to be lacking either. So, but cool to see that. Tesla officially this week announced the new Model S 70D, which has all-wheel drive and is $75,000, which is cheaper than, of course, the P85s and all that good stuff. And this one is a little bit slower as well. So it's going to be 329 horsepower, which sounds slow compared to other Tesla that are out there. But this, it still does 0 to 60 in 5.2 seconds, 140 mile per hour top speed. Very nice. So hopefully that'll hold us over until the proper Model 3 comes along for 40 grand or so. Speaking of smaller cars, another awesome small pocket rocket. The Audi is planning to bring the new RS3 to the United States. So it's currently over in Europe, is a hatchback. But according to the Audi boss, they're saying that what they want to do is bring a sedan RS3 over. They think that would do better here in America, but they said they have plans to bring the RS3 to America, which is amazing. And an interesting thing that was seen this past week is there's a Rolls-Royce Phantom running around with a big spoiler on the back. And people were wondering what the heck is going on, if it was just some owner with bad taste or something. But no, actually this is a mule for their all-wheel drive crossover that they're planning. So their future SUV, for some reason, it must ride very similar to a Phantom, except it has a spoiler on the back. So it'd be interesting to see. The final version, of course, is just a rough mule, but in typical Rolls-Royce fashion, it looks beautiful. It's funny that Rolls-Royce test mules are so gorgeous when everyone else is running these hobbled up, you know, scrappy looking things. It's kind of funny. And some other luxurious rough and tough stuff. Mercedes-Benz is planning a pickup truck, and it's actually, before we thought maybe it wouldn't come to the US, but now it's sounding like it actually may come to the US, which makes sense considering we probably have the largest pickup market in the world. Could be wrong about that, but it would obviously make a whole lot of sense to sell it here in America. Let's start talking about all the news from the New York Auto Show that I didn't talk about last week. Of course, if you follow me on Twitter, I've been retweeting and giving my opinions on different news bits here and there. But the first thing, of course, the biggest thing that I was geeking out about last week that I quickly made that brief video about was this new Subaru BRZ STI performance concept that was shown at the New York Auto Show, which I will say looks amazing. I thought the BRZ on its own, in stock form, was a simply gorgeous car. This just turns it up to 11. I mean, it looks amazing from every angle. I love the LEDs in the front bumper, and I love the center exhaust in the back, and how aggressive it looks, and even the interior. It's got a super epic steering wheel, and everything looks so awesome, and yet, guess what? Subaru's not going to make it. Another awesome Subaru concept. I don't know why they like breaking our hearts. It drives me insane. It makes me want to just wipe my hands, wash my hands of Subaru and say be done with it and go along. I want to change my name and everything else. It's it's maddening to me. Because the thing is, this is totally viable. It's not like this is some crazy hovercraft of a car that it's impossible to build. They have most of the parts already. I mean, that is production ready. The only thing is the engine, which of course this has the same engine from the BRZ GT300, which is a Japan Super GT series that is a race motor. So maybe that isn't practical to put in the car, even though it'd be perfect. It has 300 horsepower and 330 pounds-feet of torque, and it's a turbocharged 2-liter boxer. Beautiful, perfect engine. 300 horsepower in this car would be epic, and I would probably be seriously tempted to buy it, but they're not doing it. And but even if you didn't want to do 300 horsepower, just do it with the WRX engine. 265 horsepower is a great starting point. I don't know if it would make me weak in the knees, but it'd be a whole lot of a better car than the current BRZ, which is fun, but like I said, needs more power. I don't know, I'm just super disappointed that they said they're not building this. They said that they want to develop the STI brand in the future and make it into a sub-brand, kind of like AMG is to Mercedes and all that kind of stuff, and have it be in-house and do tuner versions of every single Subaru, which would be great and awesome, all fine and well. But they're saying that this BRZ concept is just showing off what they can do. So I don't know why they do that. Why do they tease us like this? Just don't build it. I would have rather not seen this car and just been like, maybe one day Subaru will build an STI, but then they go and build it, and then they tell us we're not making it. Ha ha. Anyway, okay, I will move on because I could rant about that all day. That is just maddening. In some more brighter news from another Japanese car company that seems to finally get it, Honda is bringing back the Civic for a brand new model year here for next year, and they debuted it. It's a concept, but this is very close to production because this car is going to be on sale in 6 months. So, I mean, aside from more production-ready side view mirrors, this thing's probably basically ready to go, and it looks spectacular. It looks awesome, it's very aggressive, it has the LED headlights and cool accent lighting, it's very swoopy and awesome, it has the huge LED tail lamps in the back, it looks amazing from every single angle, and get this, they all come with turbos. So even the base standard Honda Civic LX, or whatever they end up calling it, comes with a 1.5-liter turbocharged engine that also has VTEC. So even the standard Civics are going to be somewhat performance-oriented, I think. And in addition to that, Honda has announced that they're going to have the SI, of course, like they always do. We'll still have to wait and see what kind of engine's in that. And then Honda officially announced that they're bringing the Type R to America, which is awesome and what everyone's been wanting forever, and we're all extremely excited. Now, there's a caveat here, because I've heard that they've said it probably won't arrive till 2017 or 2018, so I think the Ford Focus RS is going to have a party for a year or two while it goes and kicks butt with its all-wheel drive and whatnot, and then the Type R is going to arrive on the scene maybe a year later. So, it won't be immediately. We'll have a new SI here probably next spring or so. But still, it looks gorgeous, and in addition to the coupe and sedan, they're bringing back the hatchback, which everyone wanted. So, other new cars that debuted in New York that are pretty awesome. McLaren officially debuted the 570S, which has gotten some mixed reactions from people. I personally love it. I think the headlights, they're not perfect, but they're pretty nice, and I mean overall the whole car though is amazing. I love it. I'm sure in person it all works and all looks really good, and of course it's very impressive performance still too. 570 metric horsepower, which is 562 the way we count it here in America, backed up by 443 pounds-feet of torque. So, I mean, a very, very fast car. I mean, they're still saying that this thing's going to do 0 to 62 in 3.2 seconds. So, I mean, it's just as fast as everything else out there, and it's stupid cheap. So, I mean, stupid cheap is relative, of course, but it's priced at $185 grand. Brand new McLaren that does 3.2 seconds 0 to 60 for $185,000. Next is the Lincoln Continental is back. Of course, the Ford Motor Company, Lincoln, they debuted the brand new Lincoln Continental that is going to be officially coming out next year. So this isn't just some far-fetched car. This isn't just a concept. This one is a concept, but they're making a production version next year. And it looks very good. So it's a controversial design. If you follow some of these car outlets on Twitter, you'll be hearing quotes left and right. I personally, and what a lot of people feel, is that the front end looks a whole lot like a Jaguar, which makes sense because I believe that Ian Callum, the designer of the Jaguars, and Maury Callum, who designed this Lincoln, is he's the head of design, I think, for all of Ford. They kind of had some influence. So I feel like this is Jaguar influence because the brothers probably have some similar taste. I could be totally wrong about that, but that's just the vibe I get from this. It does have a lot of Jaguar in it. A lot of people have also said the back end looks a whole lot like the Audi design, that new coupe or the new sedan that they kind of debuted. And so you have Audi back end, you have Jaguar front, and yet Bentley is the one that's mad. Bentley came out and said it's a blatant ripoff of their cars. They're all mad and upset about it, even though that looks nothing like a Bentley. Nothing at all like a Bentley. Maybe the grille slightly, even though the grille is full of Lincoln emblems, the way it's designed. But Bentley is all mad, and they're the ones who are like, oh, they ripped off of our design. If anything, I'd be mad at Jaguar. Jaguar should be mad. Audi should be mad about the back end. It is a little bit of a generic design. I was hoping for something a little more retro-inspired. Obviously, you have to have something that's modern and forward-thinking, but you could have some things that harken back to the retro stuff of the glorious Continentals of past. If for no other reason, just include suicide doors for the rear doors. That alone would have been boom, made, awesome car, done deal. Wash your hands and go home. But obviously, I mean, it's a beautiful car. If you look at the inside and stuff, it's awesome. Very excited to see the Continental back as well. There's not a whole lot of word about the actual performance or anything like that. People are guessing it's going to have an EcoBoost twin-turbo V6 in it, which makes sense and would be perfectly adequate, although a V8 would be nice just for traditional reasons. But yeah, and another full-size sedan that was revealed at the New York Auto Show was the 2016 Cadillac CT6 in all of its glory. Here we can see it. It's a really impressive car, and this thing is also, like I mentioned, I think 2 weeks ago, that it's going to have a 400 horsepower twin turbo V6. In addition to that, though, there's going to be another regular V6 that has 335 horsepower. That's going to be, I think, one of the lower engines, as well as a 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder. But this thing is sweet. I mean, it's got a 10-inch Q infotainment system there, a big screen. I mean, it's got a nice like new touchpad, which is new for Cadillac as well. It's got a really epic Bose sound system, all kinds of sweet stuff. I mean, it's definitely extremely luxurious and should drive very well as well. If any other Cadillacs or indicators, that'll be awesome. Comes in rear-wheel drive, all-wheel drive, all kinds of good stuff. So very excited to hear the price of that, but should be very competitive, I think. Also, Porsche debuted the brand new 2016 Boxster Spider, which, like, you know, they've done a Spider version of the previous Boxster, and this one looks very good as well. So this is going to have 375 horsepower, so it's got a nice little power bump there, 0 to 60 in 4.3 seconds, and it's got a cloth roof that's manually operated, so that saves a whole lot of weight. So this thing's going to be much lighter than a regular Boxster, and sits lower to the ground. Looks pretty awesome. It's going to be $82,000 though. So yeah, I mean, and everything's extra. I mean, a radio isn't standard. You have to pay extra for a radio. Air conditioning, that's also an option. So I mean, this is really stripped out. So it's going to start at $82,000, but if you want a radio and air conditioning, you're probably going to be paying $85,000. Crazy, crazy, but I'm sure there's certain people out there that will pay that. So more power to them. At least it's a good-looking car. A car that's not good-looking that debuted at New York is the 2016 Scion IA, which is this little tiny sedan that they're making. And it's actually funny because it's based on the Mazda 2. They're working with Mazda on this. And the Mazda 2, as far as small cars are concerned, is one of the prettiest. And then Scion went and ruined it. The front end looks awful, and that's probably why Mazda agreed to work with them. They're like, okay, we'll let you have a version of our car, but you have to make it ugly. And that's what they did. They made this hideous front end that is just awful. And then the back end is actually very pretty. The taillights are obviously very Mazda inspired, but it looks good in the back end. But that front end, good grief. I don't think we're going to be seeing that car around very long, but I could be wrong. A new, better looking Scion that also debuted in New York was the 2016 Scion IM. And it's got sharp styling, looks really nice in this blue color, and it's a very swoopy hatchback. And it's, you know, pretty nice size as well. And so this one's going to have a 1.8 liter four-cylinder with 137 horsepower. It'll get pretty good gas mileage. They're saying 37 miles per gallon on the highway, which is all fine and good. And they're saying there's going to be less than $20,000. So that sounds like it'll make a whole lot of sense. That little IA, not so much. Another mid-size sedan that officially was unveiled was the new Chevy Malibu, which is, you know, it's a 2016 model here. It's been redesigned. And I know they said they really wanted to hit a home run with this one because the previous Malibu wasn't met with the best reception. This one, though, the back end looks like the Impala, which is good. The front end, though, I don't know. I'm not totally sold on that lower front bumper. It just looks a little odd to me. Maybe in person it'll look better, but I'm not totally sold on that design, which is unfortunate because Chevy needs to hit a home run with this. So I hope everyone else likes it and it's just me. But, yeah, not a huge fan of that. A good little car, though. Another thing Chevy debuted at New York was the 2016 Chevrolet Spark, which is their smallest little hatchback, and looks very good. It looks like a handsome, mature, little Chevy hatchback. And I think they did a really good job with that, and so that's very cool to see. Speaking of small cars, Mazda officially debuted the 2016 Mazda MX-5 Miata Club Edition, which is a little bit sharper and, you know, it's a little bit more high performance as well. What they did basically is they added a limited slip differential, a retuned suspension with Bilstein shocks, and a tower brace, and, you know, new wheels. So, I mean, minor little things here, but cool to see that, and looks pretty good. In other Miata news, they officially announced that here in America, it's going to be priced at $24,915, so $25 grand for the new Miata. Nissan also debuted the new Nissan Maxima that we saw a quick teaser of in a commercial back at the Super Bowl, but now we see the whole thing in the flesh here, and it looks very dramatic. It's very bold, but I think it's a very cool design. It's very futuristic. I love the way they did it. It's daring. It's an aggressive design, and I think it absolutely paid off. This looks really cool to me. I think it's going to really stand out from the more blasé, bland, and more elegant mid-sized cars, but that is just really that makes a statement. I really like the way that looks. Also, it's going to offer 300 horsepower and 30 miles per gallon, and it's going to start around 32,000 bucks. And for some of these crossovers, we got some new crossovers here at the New York Auto Show. The first one is the 2016 Toyota RAV4 Hybrid that looks like a Toyota RAV4, except it's a little more aggressive and nothing to write home about there. A good-looking car, I think. The new 2016 Mitsubishi Outlander also debuted, and looks a lot like the concept. Of course, it doesn't look as good as the concepts that have kept being teased, but that does look pretty good, I will say. Kind of has some Audi hints to it. And then you go to the other extreme, and you have the 2016 Lexus RX that debuted, and it's aggressive, like all the other new Lexus designs, and I mean, it's fine for the other Lexus products, but the RX is the bread and butter, and it's driven by older people. I mean, or, you know, I don't know. It seems like everyone that drives an RX is a conservative individual. I never see anyone in an RX, and they hop out of the car, and they're wearing crazy hair or, you know, crazy clothes. RX owners always seem very conservative, and I don't think they want a very shouty car. And they walk into a Lexus dealer and see this as the new RX, they're going to run out of the building screaming. I mean, that is a very aggressive design. So anyway, last few stories here. Some good news as far as the new Camaro. They're, you know, slowly teasing out information. And this story is over a week old already, but I missed it, you know, since last week. So I have to mention it. And that is that the 2016 Camaro is actually going to be 200 pounds lighter than the previous generation. So, you know, the Mustang, that was rumored. I don't know if Ford themselves actually promised this, but it was rumored. They said the new Mustang was going to gain, or was going to lose 400 pounds. They said it was going to be lighter and better. And the car is better, but it's not lighter. It actually gained several hundred pounds in the restyle, which is unfortunate. So for the Camaro to be dropping weight means that the Camaro will probably be the better driver, because anytime you lose weight, the cars drive better. And so it'll be interesting to see what they've done here, but it's very good news to hear that they're dropping 200 pounds off of the car. Some other interesting news is that there's a report here, now this isn't confirmed or anything, but there's a report saying that the new Toyota Supra will be coming in 2017 as a 2018 model, and that they're saying it's not going to be a hybrid anymore, and that it's going to be just a regular BMW 6-cylinder turbo. So, basically a BMW M4 motor probably thrown in this car, which is good news, because if it was a crazy hybrid setup, then it probably was going to be well over $100,000. But if this is basically just a BMW M4 that Toyota has worked over, I mean, that's probably simplifying it way too much. I'm sure it'll be Toyota building a brand new car from the ground up, but if it's powered by a BMW M4 motor, and you do part sharing like that and make it a whole lot simpler, there's hope that this Supra could be less than 80 grand, maybe even 60 grand. And that would really get back to the Supra's roots. I was a little worried the Supra was going to try and turn into this supercar and kind of lose its identity in the process. But if they make it just a cool, fast luxury coupe like the old Supra actually was, then this could be really epic. I'm very excited to hear more about that. Again, that's just a rumor, but that has a lot of promise. So very exciting to hear that. Another car that has a whole lot of promise, but sadly won't be coming to America, is the Honda S660 Roadster, which is officially unveiled. Now this is a K car, so I mean this thing is tiny. It's probably about as large as an Ariel Atom, but it's very cool, nice, cute-looking little car, and that sounds like it's going to be tons of fun to drive. I know, people have been begging for an S2000 revival. This is not it. This is much slower than an S2000 and much smaller as well, but it's awesome. And I mean, it probably would never meet any of our crash safety standards here in America, so don't even hope that this will ever come. But it's a very cool little car, and if you ever happen to find yourself in Japan, maybe you'll be able to get your hands on one. But here in America, probably won't, but very cool little car. And last bit of news, finally, after all these updates. The last story of the week here is that Honda, another Honda story, they have officially canceled the Cross Tour. The Cross Tour is no more, which is kind of funny because, with crossovers being so popular, you would think that the Cross Tour would be something that Honda would want to pursue. But maybe they're going in a new direction, I'm not sure. But the Cross Tour is no more. So, discontinued that car, and sadly they were never selling very well, so I'm sure a whole lot of people won't miss them. But anyway, so that's it for all the news this week, guys. So thank you very much for watching. Be sure to stay tuned tomorrow for the weekly update in the Mustang. So thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you next time. Take care.